Well, Ray Didinger obviously saw all the games that Brandon Graham played for the Eagles and can give great context to his immense role in the history of Philadelphia sports. And Ray joins us right now. Ray, good morning, sir.
Morning, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm excited, Ray. I'm really excited. I'm fired up. I'm almost in like a football fired up mode. We don't have a game today, but we got a special day today, Ray. I mean, to honor BG, and he's going to be in studio with us around 9:30 today. I know you know him and know him well. You've seen all the games and all the plays. When I say to you, Brandon Graham, what comes to mind for you, Ray?
Persistence. With a capital P.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, it's a guy who came in under great scrutiny, didn't get off to a particularly good start, felt the wrath of the city. Just 2 years into his career, enormous second guessing and doubt, and rather than complain about it and sulk about it and let it defeat him, he used it to fuel a great career. And it's not many people that can do that. Look, all of us, Joe, you certainly, I think John has come to understand it. Philadelphia is a unique place, and if you're an athlete, it can be a great place. It can be the best home for a professional athlete anywhere, and there are guys who can bear witness to that in every sport that can come into this city. But there are other people whose experience here is totally different. And the way Brandon Graham's career started out, it could have easily gone that way, and it didn't because he didn't allow it to. He took all that and used it to drive him, And I think that. Look, I've seen a lot of guys bow out and retire in this city, but I've never seen anyone do it with the grace and the self-awareness that Brandon Graham did in that final press conference. I mean, just starting with the fact that he walked into the auditorium and walked around the auditorium and shook hands with every media member who was there. That's how he started. And then when he got up to the podium, when he made his remarks, said, you guys, all of you, you helped me have the career I had because, for 15 years you held me accountable, and he understood that in a way that the vast majority of athletes who pass through here don't. And in addition to the Brady strip sack, and in addition to playing in the final Super Bowl and doing what he did, that to me is one of the things that I'll remember about him because and you just said it, Joe, that he so got Philadelphia.
Yep. And
that was a big part of his story. And there aren't they could have gone so wrong in so many ways early, but he didn't allow it to. And good for him. I think that's one of the reasons why he's going to be beloved here long after he hangs up the jersey.
Ray, I'm so fascinated to hear your assessment of how Brandon improved over his career. You watching him, I wasn't focusing in on Brandon Graham when he first started as an Eagle. You were. I mean, you were taking notes on your legal pad, and you know exactly how he's changed and progressed. How has he changed and progressed through the years? I said earlier, I feel like these last two seasons, it's been like a Brandon Graham renaissance where his play has really elevated. But just how has he improved himself?
Well, I think that he was a great player at Michigan. I mean, he's the only player in the history of that program, and you were part of that program, so you know the history of University of Michigan football.
Pretty big deal.
A very big deal. I mean, he's the only defensive player in the history of that school to be voted the team's MVP twice. And you think of some of the guys that have gone through there. So, I mean, he was he wasn't just a good college player. He wasn't just he was a great college player at a great program. So when he came here, he came here as a pretty decorated player. Now, I know there was a lot of debate and a lot of head scratching about the fact that they chose him over Earl Thomas.
Absolutely.
And look, Earl Thomas was a tremendous player, and he came out at the time when the Eagles were looking for somebody to take Brian Dawkins' place. So to select him would have made perfect sense. But I had no problem with them selecting Brandon Graham. But I think what you're talking about, John, is what really I think one of the problems that he had, and he, again, to his credit, he never complained about this. But you think about all the coaches he played for. I'm talking about defensive coordinators. I mean, he went Sean McDermott to Juan Castillo to Todd Bowles to Billy Davis to Jim Washburn to Jim Schwartz. I mean, and he went from all sorts of different configurations in that defense from the 4-3 to the 3-4 to playing. They moved him to an outside linebacker. They had him at defensive end. They put him at linebacker. Then they put him back to defensive end. And I mean, the poor guy's head was spinning.
Sure.
And I think that, and the thing was, he never complained about that. I mean, he never, when there was criticism, and there was criticism, he never blamed anybody. He never blamed the coaches. He never blamed anybody. He never blamed the situation, which he could have. That lack of continuity there. He just always put it on himself. I have to play better. It's up to me. And when they finally settled into the defense that they wanted to be, and they let him just play defensive end, then you just saw him. You saw the player that he wanted to be. Because the thing about him that was true, and listen, everybody remembers that it ended in glory, and good for him, and good for us.
Right.
That's how it ended. But there were times in there when it did not. And there were some really rough seasons in there, and some seasons of extreme disappointment. And he never let that affect his play. I mean, this is a guy who was the definition of he gave you 100% win or lose, and that was true throughout his career. And to think that when you look back on it, that he played more games than anybody who ever wore an Eagles jersey, anybody that ever played for a team that has been playing since 1933, and has had a lot of guys that are in Canton have come through here in that time, and nobody played as many games as Brandon Graham did. And that's a remarkable achievement. And in this era of football, for somebody to come in and play 15 seasons in the NFL, that's rare.
Yeah.
But to play 15 seasons with one team, that's beyond rare. And that's one of the reasons why he's going to go down as one of a handful of the most beloved players in the history of the franchise.
Ray Didinger with us here. No question, Ray. Another big part of it, and you touched briefly on it, but let's do a deeper dive. The play against Brady, it's just an all-timer. That game was hanging in the balance, Ray. Brady had 500 yards. It really could have. This last one could not have gone the other way. The game was over in the first quarter, certainly by the second. But, Ray, that one was so close. Can you just try to convey your recollection of your reaction to Brandon Graham stripping the ball from Tom Brady?
I thought that, I remember it real well. And I think that when you talk about the history of the franchise, to me, it's one of how many snaps has this team had since 1933?
Hundreds of thousands?
Right?
Yeah.
Millions upon millions. And to me, it's one of the two greatest defensive plays in the history of the franchise. The other, and you can rank them however you choose to, but the only other one that I think compares to it in terms of overall importance is the Bednarik hit on Gifford.
Sure.
Which
I thought you were going to say on Taylor, stopping him in the 60 title game. So you're going on Gifford, okay?
Yeah, no, I'm going on. Well, yeah, and the Taylor tackle too, because that closed out a championship game, which in much the same way that this closed out a championship game. So yeah, they're very comparable. But I'm talking about this is in the whole history of the team, one of the two or three greatest defensive plays in the history of the franchise. But what I remember about that play was that on that particular play, and they hadn't touched Brady all day.
Yep.
And you mentioned the fact that he threw for 500 yards. But on that particular play, they moved him from defensive end to defensive tackle, which I thought was interesting because they hadn't done that all day. But on that particular play, they moved him inside. And they put him opposite a guard named Shaq Mason, who I think it was not an accident. I think what they knew was that Brandon's quickness was going to be a little bit more than they could handle, and if they didn't get a quick double on him, that he had a chance to get right in Brady's face right away, which is exactly what happened. That they had the presence of mind to move him inside on that play to get a little bit of a different look. That maybe this one time we're going to get to Brady, and it's exactly what happened. He got inside on Brady, and he got inside on the block and got in on Brady, and then knocks the ball away, and then Barnett recovers, and of course that's that's the one that kind of closes the door on it. But I mean, it was. I remember Graham during the week. He was very prescient when he said this. During the week, I saw one of his pressers, and he said the key to this game. Somebody asked him the old, "What's going to be the key to the game?" And Graham almost called it. I mean, he said, I remember his words. He said, "Hey, listen, the key to this game, we just got to keep coming. We just got to keep coming." I remember him saying that. And he said, "Look, it's not going to be easy. We all know what Tom Brady is. We all know how great he is. We all know how great he is in these games." He said, "And there's going to be some tough times, and they're going to move the ball, and they're going to score some points, but we can't let that get to us. We got to keep coming." And the key to that whole play was exactly that he just kept coming.
Yeah.
And he found his way to Brady and knocked the ball loose. And yeah, I mean that's the one that everybody will remember. But don't forget the fact, just the sheer volume of what it took to play 15 years and 206 games, in the NFL and playing in this city. I mean, the respect that everybody has for him now is it's universal. And part of it is what a terrific player he was, but part of it is what John was just saying just a few moments ago was his personality and how much he, through all of the difficulty and through all of the hardship early in his career, that he never let it turn him against the town or against the fans or against the situation, that he remained the same upbeat, "Hey, we'll be fine, guys," and that was characteristic of him right from the beginning, right through the tough times, right through some of the losing, all the way to the end. And then that final press conference that was just utterly brilliant, I thought, and his final statement about, "My life has been changed forever by this magical place." I mean, who ever thought to call Philadelphia sports community a magical place? We've called it a lot of things, but I can't remember a single athlete that ever walked out by saying this magical place.
Hey, Ray, certainly
that was beautiful.
Certainly not Scott Rowland or Ben Simmons.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
Well, Ray, a great tribute from you to BG today, and I'm sure everyone listening has truly enjoyed it. Ray, we look forward to talking in the coming weeks. There's so many other topics to get into with you about, but just great having you on today to talk about Brandon. Thank you so much, Ray.
Always a pleasure. Take care, guys.
That was
Thank
awesome.
You, Ray.
You got it. The Diddy, Ray Didinger.